£65,000. That's now what it costs to reach British Airways top tier status. A price tag almost double the average UK annual salary, merely for the privilege of lounge access and priority boarding. But how much would you pay for the same? £10? £20? Budget airlines typically charge £15, but for British Airways they now want £65,000. I've flown over 1,500 times across major airline alliances, and I've held top-tier status on American, Delta, United, British Airways, Air France and Qantas. But airlines used to reward loyalty to those who spent the most time in the sky. Now they only care about one thing: how much money you have. This isn't exclusively a British Airways problem. Delta tried it and United followed, and American Airlines implemented similar changes. It's an industry shift that rewards money, not miles, and breaks the emotional contract that kept people loyal. The fact is, airline loyalty has died. So where does that leave us? Let's dive into the most striking recent example, British Airways' dramatic overhaul, and see what it means for travellers everywhere. The fact is, loyalty used to be simple. You flew frequently and you were rewarded for it. Lounge access, priority boarding, recognition, real upgrades. It made you feel valued, recognised and part of something special. It wasn't merely perks, it was identity. Loyalty status made you feel like you belonged. You weren't merely a passenger, you were someone. And these benefits extended globally through all of the airline alliances. Your gold status with British Airways meant recognition on American Airlines, Cathay Pacific and other oneworld partners. Your Delta Medallion status then worked across all of SkyTeam. United's 1K opened doors across the Star Alliance. Loyalty meant global access, and the emotional connection between effort and reward was at the heart of traditional loyalty programs, not exclusively at British Airways, but at airlines worldwide. In 2025, British Airways didn't simply raise the bar, they completely rebranded it. Executive Club is out. Now it's simply the club. Sleeker name, familiar tiers, bronze, silver, gold and gold guest list, but a radically different philosophy. The irony is not lost on me that they've dropped the word executive, precisely as they've ensured that only actual executives can afford to maintain the status. A bit on the nose that. So the messaging. It's exclusive, elite and modern, but the mechanics? Much higher spend, fewer shortcuts and an unapologetic pivot towards high revenue customers. It's a move that has sent shockwaves through the frequent flyer community and might signal the end of an era. In the official press release, BA said that they were enhancing the program, which, as most frequent flyers know, this usually is code for a consultant with a spreadsheet quietly gutting everything that once made it special. So let me show you exactly what this means in real numbers. The transformation across all tiers is breathtaking. Bronze status, previously attainable for about £450 in strategic flying, now requires £3,500 in pure spend, equivalent to over 23 economy flights between London and Paris. Silver, once the sweet spot for lounge access at around £900, jumps to a staggering £7,500, more than many families will spend on their entire annual holiday budget. And gold status, the crown jewel that savvy flyers could achieve for £3,000 with clever routing, now demands £20,000, a commitment that places it firmly beyond the reach for all but the corporate elite or the genuinely wealthy. And this isn't merely an adjustment, it's a complete recalibration of who British Airways considers worthy of recognition. The average increase across all tiers is nearly 800%, effectively placing elite status beyond the reach of all but the wealthiest of travellers or those with generous corporate travel policies. The message is unmistakable. The club is now truly exclusive, reserved for those who can afford to spend what many earn in a year, all for the privilege of priority boarding and a quiet place to wait before flights. April Fool's Day 2025. That's when British Airways will implement the most dramatic loyalty program overhaul in its history. And the timing couldn't be more telling. BA made the change official on December 30th, 2024, right after peak booking season when most flyers had already locked in their 2025 plans. With only 3 months' notice, travellers were told that the rules had completely changed. This is the biggest recalibration of the BA status earning in over a decade, as being framed as a refinement, not as a restriction. British Airways is not alone in this radical transformation of what loyalty means. This trend began across the Atlantic, with major US carriers leading the charge towards spend-based programs. Delta tried this in 2023 and faced a fierce backlash. United and American followed suit. Air Canada, Lufthansa and others have done the equivalent. So the transformation that we're witnessing certainly isn't isolated to British Airways. It's the culmination of a global shift that began with American carriers. What British Airways has done, dramatically in one announcement, US airlines accomplished more gradually over the years, but with the same destination in mind, replacing loyalty with luxury and frequency with finance. The pattern is consistent across the major US carriers. Eliminate path-based qualification routes and distill status down to pure spending. The strategy is brilliant from a business perspective. It aligns elite recognition perfectly with revenue contribution, but it fundamentally changes what airline loyalty means. Across the board, we've witnessed the major US carriers double or nearly triple the financial commitment required for top-tier status. What's most striking isn't just the higher dollar amounts, but the complete elimination of alternatives. The traveller who once flew 100,000 miles but spent modestly can no longer earn their way to elite recognition through the sheer dedication to the airline. The strategy is ruthlessly effective. Slash the ranks of elites by removing those who contributed time but not treasure, while ensuring those who remain are the most financially valuable customers. This table doesn't just show the numbers, it illustrates an industry's collective decision to redefine what matters. The journey, the miles, the segments, all the traditional measures of loyalty have been replaced by a single metric: dollars spent. These aren't enhancements. They're price hikes, dressed up in polished marketing. Loyalty programs aren't logical. They're emotional. According to a 2023 survey by NerdWallet, nearly 49% of frequent travelers admitted to booking less convenient flights to earn or retain status. That's the power of recognition. It's about being thanked by name, being allowed to go through a different door, getting access that others don't. And for frequent flyers, it becomes an obsession. This is where the concept of mileage run was born. Mileage runs weren't about waste. They're about strategy. The flights were going to operate anyway, and savvy travelers made use of quieter routes or off-peak fares. And it wasn't about luxury, it was about knowing how the system worked and playing it well. Back in 2024, I could earn BA Gold for as little as £3,000, occasionally even less, by combining ingenious routings through Helsinki to Oslo or bargains to Sofia or Bucharest in Club Europe for about £250 return. These trips, when paired with the double tier points offered by BA Holidays, made these opportunities that made status accessible to average earners. It wasn't solely a strategy, it was a puzzle, finding the sweet spots where distance, fare class and airline partnerships aligned to deliver the maximum status benefit for minimum cost. Today though, under the club, that equivalent status demands £20,000. No shortcuts, no segments, just spend. Not long ago, I overheard a businessman showing off his new gold card in a lounge, proudly explaining how he'd earned it. Well, he worked the old system, planned the flights, chased the offers and made it count. But this year, that identical tier will cost nearly 4 times more. The same card, matching benefits, but a very, very different price tag. The message from the airlines? Thank you for your loyalty. We've decided to completely change our relationship. You're still loyal, right? A friend of mine flew to Japan last year using Avios in business class. He only had bronze status, but it happened to be his 10-year anniversary with the executive club. Midway through the flight, the crew surprised him with a champagne and a handwritten card signed by the team. He told me later there are so few moments in life where you're properly recognized, and that one has stuck with me. I think moments like these create powerful emotional memories. In a transactional world, they matter more than ever. The old playbook is obsolete. The new rules demand a rethink. So where do we go from here? For the most personal travelers, it's time to stop chasing a label and to start looking for real value. First, consider high-end credit cards. For under £600 a year, cards like Amex Platinum offer lounge access, hotel perks, and travel cover. without the £20,000 in flight spend. Secondly, use your points strategically. One truly exceptional redemption often delivers more value than 10 mediocre ones. And third, explore mixed loyalty. Programs like Air France's Flying Blue still reward routing strategy over raw spend. For now. And finally, go a la carte. Buy the perks you'll actually use, fast track, lounge, upgrades when you need them. It's often more economical than just chasing status. Last week was potentially my last ever mileage run. 10 segments, 3 continents, hours of planning and years of experience, all for one last gold card. The mileage run is dead, but that doesn't mean that the joy of clever travel has to die with it. Thanks for attending this memorial service for the airline loyalty. For the Sky Digest, I'm Jan. May your upgrades be plentiful and your middle seats few. Cheers.